Precious Channel. It is I, your friend Jerriford K. Horkims, and as has been true so many other times on Tuesday, I am joined by Eric Benson, occasionally, exclusively by me.
Really only you?
Only one time, actually, several months ago, Azerbaijan.
Yeah.
Now, as I suggested previously, we are going to dig into Acquisitions Intoxicated, but I always want to say Acquisitions Inebriated because that was Josh's play, and honestly, I don't know which one I like best. Until we have a logo, it's not set, right? Until we get some production values up in this piece, we don't got to worry about it.
We got people for that, right?
No, absolutely. No, I know that because Kiko had come to me last week and he's like, when you have the name, just let me know. And I was just like, because he's a fucking champion. Yeah. But listen to this. Yes, Max, I know you wanted to be inebriated. Deal with it. But this is how I knew. So we had been talking about this for a long time. So when we get together to write the C team, it almost always includes beer.
Almost always. Okay, 99.9.
Honestly, I can't think of a single time. Where there hasn't been a ritual consumption.
Yeah. And
right?
always in a specific order, typically.
Yeah, exactly. Or we'll grab a growler, like the couple times like when we came up with Giants and Halflings.
Oh yeah, that was fantastic. That was just sitting around with a growler at your table.
Exactly, literally with a growler on the counter and a handful of dice.
Yeah.
And then we messed it around. And generally speaking, I mean, I think that there's probably some literature that would attest to this. This is a fluid that can assist the writer. On occasion.
Ernest Hemingway never wrote anything about alcohol.
Yeah, exactly, not a single time.
Yeah.
But here's the key. This is how I knew that Eric was taking this very seriously. Can I see your special piece of paper? So, it's 2 pages? Okay.
Listen, I don't want to get any crap because you have pages behind the DM screen we type out.
Sure, but I'm saying that when I get up on the microphone, it's just right off the dome. Bam, I spit it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're writing novels over here about hops.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Listen, I'm glad. Honestly, I got to give you shit, but I'm overjoyed because I only know what I know about brewing, which is all basically on borrowed equipment. Mm-hmm. It's all, I know enough to be dangerous, essentially, right?
Right.
I know how to make things from existing recipes, different cloning. I know more about brewing history.
Yeah.
Than I actually
process.
Than I actually know about the main deal. But our hook on this show is to interact with you in the channel, to put different stuff together. Basically end-to-end to travel throughout the AI universe. And we'll talk to you about the next beer we're going to make.
Yeah.
And we have ideas about how we would do it, but we want to talk to you about things that you enjoy as well. And then, the ultimate plan is to catalog these, and not just to catalog them and have them sort of euphemistically or have them exist on a whiteboard or be abstract quantities. This show will actually literally involve us manufacturing the beers that we have discussed. Mm-hmm. And then while we are manufacturing the beers that we have discussed on this very channel, we will just immediately start on the next one. So that in our process, we'll go through, let's say Omin. We're gonna do Omin Dran today, right? We'll crack through Omin. We got an idea about what we like. We wanna get your input on the next one. And then next week, we'll start brewing on my Pico here. So I got the Pico on Kickstarter a while back. There are other devices that do full grain brewing. That is to say, brewing that is from actual grains as opposed to syrups or extracts, right? It all happens inside this device. It all goes out to the tank over there on the other side of it, right? But here's the kicker. The fantasy is that, when I end up at a PAX or something like that, the best part about making these things is actually sharing them with other people. So we'll figure out exactly the methodology that we can get that done. Could be contests in the channel, all the way up to and including a meetup where we get together and put this stuff to work. But
I agree.
Yeah, right? I mean,
Like
again, no, because brewing is fun. Brewing is obviously fun, but bottling day, like tapping it, like it's mystical.
50% of it, yeah.
It's mystical.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we're in collaboration with some very small assistants.
Yeah. But then the critiques come in, right? Everybody's
Absolutely.
like either, you know.
Well, yeah, you know right away.
Yeah.
And it's like, because everybody has to get the glass, and then it's like, all right,
Yeah.
let's all poison ourselves together.
Yeah, and they can't lie about it. They can't be like, oh yeah, this is great. You can see it on their face when it's good or bad.
Well, no, because their tongue is gonna know.
Yeah.
Like I made but sometimes you can have a beer that doesn't turn out the way that you want, but it's still okay.
Yeah.
We had and also naming the beers is the best part, right? Oh, hey, Tafty Apple, thank you so much. Welcome to the arcade. We've done all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
My previous brewing experiences, we had a porter, which is a darker beer between the ale
and the stout.
if you are a new individual just getting onto this, right? So that porter was called Portergeist because I'm very clever.
Nice, yeah,
and everyone knows it.
Yeah.
Because I constantly tell them.
There was some low-hanging fruit there that you just pulled right down.
And but it was delicious. Like it was. I mean, it was everything you want to. It was like the archetype of a porter.
Right.
So, cocoa.
Right.
Coffee.
Little less body than a... Hey.
Chief Gun Show, geez.
Gun Show.
Thanks so much. Hey, I mean, and we put this thing to work.
Yeah.
Like, we put it to work. This is basically Ando Calrissian. Thank you so much. So, we also here. We can share duty. So, we pulled this thing down. And this was like
We're getting a little chewy.
Yeah, I know.
They're getting a little chewy.
The crabs are getting moist.
These are not what I remember. Damn, red hangers.
Red hate. Thank you so much. Now, so here we're gonna go.
I'll trade you some more burial skillet donut stout.
Oh, will do. But essentially what happens when we come together and put that stuff in, we're drinking it, it's like the land party beverage, like we're sharing it out, it's amazing.
Exactly.
Every third mouthful, there is some slime. Now, we began to call it mung. And I don't know why, I don't know what that means.
But that was it.
It was called mung, and we determined that mung was a combination of moss and slimy hair.
Sure, I mean, that seems normal, right?
But the beer was so good
you couldn't stop drinking
every now and then, a little mung. Just a little mung. And it's sort of like, have you ever made kombucha?
Yeah.
So if you make kombucha, occasionally one does get a mouthful.
Get a little bit of funky mushroom,
of tepid slime.
Yeah.
And that's the price you pay.
Yeah, that's the ropes.
Exactly. Right. So hey, where do we want to start? Where do we want to start our adventure? Like, do you want to go over?
Yeah. How about we just talk about getting into brewing first?
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And there's a lot more that you would know about that. Like I say, all my shit's borrowed.
Yeah.
I know how to use the Pico,
right.
Which is it's a very specific process. And there's a couple things like sparging.
Right.
Sparging sounds naughty. Okay.
It's a little naughty.
But it's not.
I mean, you spray your water all over.
Exactly, right? You can go into sparging. So there's a couple processes that it doesn't do.
Punk Junior.
There's a couple things that it doesn't do that a traditional brewing setup would.
Right.
So we'll go ahead and start with the basics, and then we'll go into how ours is different.
So I guess I figure, let's talk about how you can get into home brewing.
Yes.
Right? So I always say start with doing some research, right?
Oh, yeah. Now, as nerds,
we read.
No, we get a book.
Yes.
God damn it.
And this is probably one of the best books you can get. It's by the grandfather. Okay,
of homebrewing?
Father of homebrewing.
Yeah.
Charlie Papazian. This book has basically taught probably 99% of homebrewers how to homebrew.
Yeah.
So I can only recommend that enough.
Dude, this motherfucker is dog-eared.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's been around the block. But if you want to get into it, that's going to show you everything you need to know about homebrewing. J.F. Clifford.
J.F. Clifford. Private Eye.
Big man. The next one is called Designing Great Beers. This book is a Bible when you're trying to research how you want to brew a beer.
You know what? I actually got this one first.
Yeah.
And I was not ready for it.
Yeah.
So start with
the basics. But once you get to all grain brewing, this is what you want. I always tell everybody to go to their local homebrew shop. And
Well, you want to make friends with those guys anyway.
yeah, but they're going to set you up. You can get a starter package for $80, just to get into it.
Oh, with the plastic bucket.
Yeah, with all the plastic buckets
Carboy.
and stuff. Or you can go a little upscale and there's a $150 one, and you can spend up to $1,000 or $2,000 if you really want to.
Absolutely. Blaze 8 Ways. Thank you so much.
But those $80 and $150, you basically usually start doing extract brewing.
Exactly. So define that.
Sure.
Because they'll need that term, especially if they're going to go in and meet these crews, because it can be intimidating as fuck.
Right, absolutely. Also, before we do that, if you don't have a local brew shop, one of my favorite websites to go to is called Northern Brewer.
Oh, well, yeah, everybody knows about Northern Brewer.
But if
Will Wheaton?
Yeah. AOFL himself has done collaborations. You can get his Vandal IPA, Vandal IPA.
Is it solid?
Yeah, I brewed it. It's actually a really good IPA. So check out northernbrewer.com. You're going to find everything you need there. So extract brewing.
Yeah.
When we brew, the concept of brewing is to take all of the sugars out of the grain.
Right.
Which will eventually make wort.
Right.
Which we boil and add the hops to.
Exactly. So wort is like pre-beer, essentially,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Wort is like essentially a kind of wheat tea.
Yeah, it's water that's filled with proteins and sugars.
Right.
Now, when you use extract, it's the shortened version of brewing.
Exactly.
The extract is
a syrup.
Yeah, it's a syrup or it's dried malt that the sugars have already been extracted from the grain.
Oh, I've never seen a dry version of an extract.
Yeah, there's dried powder. It's basically like a powder.
Oh, okay.
And so that's one way to do it. All you do for extract brewing is boil your water, pour the extract in, and then add your hops.
Exactly. So instant
beer.
Yeah.
Now there's the other way of brewing, which is all grain brewing.
Right.
Which gives us a little more control over the flavors of the beer.
Well, because functionally at that point, you can really mess around with the volumes of different grains.
Absolutely.
For a specific taste. Is it? But couldn't you do that with the extracts as well, or is it not as effective?
You can, but there's really, and when you're looking at extracts, it's a lot of it's light, dark, extra light.
Oh, they're not precise. You
No.
mean you can't drill all the way down.
No.
You can't like right click on it.
Right.
And then go to the properties menu.
Yeah, you can't fine tune it as much as you
I
can with
see.
all grain.
I see.
But do not let anybody rag on you for being an extract brewer.
No.
There's some people that'll put their nose up and rag on extract brewers, and that's false because even breweries use extract malts.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But the main thing is it's like any other thing, right? Anytime you get a new hobby, anytime you figure out a new cool thing that you want to do, there's always going to be a bunch of motherfuckers.
Yeah, the elitists that are always going to rip on the new guy.
Well, no. I mean, it's going to be like going into a comic shop.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm a grown-ass man, and I get intimidated as fuck when I go in there and ask for Squirrel Girl.
Yeah.
Like, I want the situation where it's like, hey, we like the same thing. Maybe I'm farther along in this journey.
Exactly.
It's like, and not being treated like a mutant.
Yeah.
But in any case, that's not going to happen here.
Yeah.
The main thing for us to communicate to you is that this is actually something you can literally do.
Yeah.
And we're going to prove it. Like,
Yeah.
we're going to go into the recipes and situations right now for Omin. But, next week after that, we're going to put all the shit that we're talking about in this recipe into this fucking machine.
Yeah.
And then a couple weeks later, we're going to drink the results come hell or high water.
Bad or good, man. I'm praying.
No, exactly. No. You'll get the full review, obviously.
Yeah.
But anyway, so don't get spooked.
Yeah.
You have to get in and you have to approach this thing in the way that it's going to let you build your skills and then mess with it. Like for me, I've modified recipes, but I have been afraid thus far to really go in and do it from hell to breakfast.
Right.
Right? Like the whole thing, I have never actually made something from scratch.
Right.
Right?
Well, that's what we'll learn how to do today.
Exactly.
And that's what all grain brewing does, right? It's one more step than extract. You have your grains, you've crushed them, and now you're using hot water.
Right?
Yeah, you mill them, and now you're using hot water to extract those sugars and then make wort with it.
Exactly. And the sugar is what feeds the yeast.
Yep.
And then the yeast gives you something to drive.
Yep.
Alaskan sun. God bless you. God bless you. Anyway, yeah. So where do we want to get started? Do you want to talk about just some of the basics, like the full end-to-end process of the boil?
Yeah, we can talk about. So one of the programs that I use and a lot of homebrewers use is BeerSmith.
Right.
This is a program that really lets us calculate out mathematically the proportions of the recipes we want to make.
Right.
So the one that we kind of talked about earlier was for Omin was called
War Priest.
Right.
So canonically speaking, Omin has a certain look that is more or less what Cthulhu Straub has put together for me. I have a classic sort of deal that I have, right? It's the chain and then the blue tabard, right? And the, you know what I mean? So here's where we go. In actual fact, as soon as I hit 9th level with Omin, he has a different take. There's actually a different version. So how there's like different versions of like the Batman figurine. The current incarnation of Omin is actually a much darker version. That's when I switched to the two-handed maul. And so it's actually black plate now that he is a war priest of Tymora, right? And so there is a style. We were talking about IPAs before. And there is a style called a black IPA, which is sometimes, I think it might be a mostly Northwest thing, or at least we call them CDAs, although I'm not sure that's really taken off very much.
No, on the East Coast we had it as a black IPA.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But basically what we're talking about is, IPAs have that rich, sort of golden, sort of napalm color. Right? And a black IPA you can generate simply by replacing a bunch of the grains in your tub with roasted malts, right?
Yep.
And so that confers all the things that people like in porters, right? So we're talking about the coffee, cocoa type stuff, and it matters.
Right.
Like, and they're physically dark. I mean, they're actually like literally delicious. Do you have any roasted malts in your?
The stuff that I brought today, yes, and we can go through them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but just to show you the difference.
Exactly, but because that has that darker, because it has a roasted malt, it's darker and it has some of the bitter character of a cocoa or a coffee as well, right? And so, as a result, when you're hopping it, you want to approach that in a different way because hops are added to flavor and bitter and aroma. On the beer and at different points in the boil.
Right.
And but you want to account for that because the grains are darker.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So let's get back to BeerSmith.
Yeah.
So what we'll do in BeerSmith is we'll set this up and we're going to select a black IPA.
So this is basically like your off-the-shelf style.
Yep. This is going to give us the parameters. So we can look down here where these bars are, and it's going to give us our original gravity.
This looks like we're going to try to like level the beer.
Yeah, we could.
Like it seems like there's some kind of fucking quick time thing, and it's like, well, if you want to have great beer,
you
just
get it right in this.
Click in the middle of the green part.
Yeah, but this gives us an estimate of where the average kind of where the style lends itself, where the median numbers are usually.
Right.
Now you can blow it out of the water and just go completely off reservation. There's nothing wrong with that.
Exactly, but
that's the fun part about brewing and creating a recipe.
Exactly, but this is sort of like the rails.
Yeah, this will give us some guidelines to work through. Original gravity. This is the gravity of the beer as we test it with the hydrometer.
Right.
To determine ABV at the end.
Oh, okay. Oh, shit. Okay, I've never understood this because this was never part of my brewing praxis. So you're saying that instrument, original gravity, is the gravity of the wort.
Yes. You take it.
Jesus Christ. How did I miss this? Okay, so hold on. Let me make sure I understand this. That's the gravity of the wort, which is to say that's the kind of malt hop tea that we make. That we're going to transform into beer with the help of yeast.
Exactly.
That's the sort of pre-beer syrupy state, right? So you're saying that we test it before and after, and that's how we determine the ABV.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. So,
amazing.
Yeah.
All right. It just has to do with how it floats in there,
Just
right?
and you just take a reading, and then you can calculate your ABV from there.
Jesus.
It's that easy.
That is amazing.
Brewing is the best.
I assumed it was some warlock shit.
Yeah. Like you have to send it away, get it tested.
Well, yeah.
Under the microscope.
You have to send it to the FBI.
Yeah.
You have to fucking. You have to enhance quadrant 1.
Yeah. Enhance.
Yeah. Please, multiple times. All right. Anyhow.
But also, IBUs, international bittering units. This is how we determine how bitter and what hops we have in there.
And if you go to a nerd beer spot, they'll have IBUs rated up on the board.
Yeah.
They'll have that's a piece of information that will tell you how puckered your face is going to get from the newest stunt IPA from a local brewery.
Because everybody's trying to, see how many IBUs they can get to.
Yeah, exactly. They're competing for score. Essentially.
Yeah.
Right.
And really, the human tongue can't taste beyond 85 IBUs.
Yeah. But I love IPA is my favorite style.
Oh, I know.
But there's some stunts. There's some stunting happening out there.
We've had some interesting IPAs.
Yes, on our journeys.
On the quests, on the weekly quest.
Exactly. And so, part and parcel of the rails that we have discussed over here are the actual information about our brewer setup, right? And so inside BeerSmith, you have told it that we have a Zymatic.
Exactly.
And so that's going to help you with your ratios.
Right.
It basically, that's the other part, is helping you with the mathematical calculations in terms of volume.
Exactly.
How efficient the system is.
Right.
And so, like we were talking before, this system, you can definitely 100% make amazing beer on it, but in terms of extracting sugar from grain, it's missing a step that you would see in a traditional brew apparatus. Sure. That's that sparge thing from before. Now, don't giggle. This is a real term. No, that's not it. Not anywhere near my brewing apparatus, please. But basically, the situation is that you hit the grains at the end with super hot water to clear out any extra sugar.
Yep, it stops the process of the sugars draining out.
Exactly.
It actually stops the entire process, and then it washes away the remainder of the sugar off the grains.
And this, in the interest of simplicity, it does not have that step.
No, but what it does well is it ramps up the heat, so it still stops the process.
Exactly.
As it gets
that still happens.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the efficiency on this, like you're saying that on your home system, what's the efficiency of it?
Usually about 75%.
Okay, so this is between 60 and 65, so it's close.
So it's
but
great.
It's good. It's good, but it's not like crazy pants.
No, but I mean, it's for the simplicity of that machine. It's absolutely amazing.
Well, yeah, because we were going through the cleaning process.
Yeah.
On last weekend, and you were like, I can't believe that this is how it.
No.
This is how it is. Well, compared to the home system, which you still use.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
All the time. But just to be able to press a button and go.
Exactly.
It's
a brewing appliance that has Wi-Fi. That's basically all you need to know.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's actually a lot more like brewing at a actual brewery.
Well, yeah, exactly. Once those systems get large enough.
Yeah, they're really hands off.
Yeah.
There's not a lot that.
No, you're pouring grains in the top from a sack, and then you're going to go to lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it's very, very similar. But when we start to create. So with an IPA, or with our black IPA, we're looking for IBUs within the 50 to 90 range.
Yeah, that's the zone.
That's the zone we kind of want to stay in. But we can always, if we want to make it more hoppy, we can go crazy with it.
Exactly.
But that's usually where we want to stick. Color is another thing that we look for. Now, this black IPA is going to range between 25 and 40 on the SRM scale.
Oh, so that's the colors you were talking about before?
Exactly. Now this is the scale, the standard resource method scale, much like the lava bond scale is the other term for it. And you'll see all the different colors of beers up to about 40 right now.
Yeah.
So good
Lord.
Yeah. So you're
satanic.
If you look at like the 15 and 16s, 17s, that's where you're seeing, your pales and a lot of your IPAs come in.
Right.
But we want to get really dark.
Yeah, for the War Priest.
Yeah, for the War Priest himself.
Oh, man.
And the estimated ABVs are usually between 5.5% to 9%.
Yeah, for that style.
Yeah.
They can be pretty heavy.
Yeah, we don't, and that's our call to make. Do we want to make this, and we can talk with the chat, do we want to make this a beer that's more out, has a higher ABV, or do we want to make it more sessionable so we can have a couple and not fall over?
Exactly. And I think, my feeling, and obviously let's talk about this over here, right? Yes, imagine a dark brew J3Z goof. So get a load of this. My feeling is that the War Priest is not sessionable. I feel like the War Priest
is going to hit you over the head with a maul.
I feel like the War Priest has to exude a certain confidence in the glass, and obviously it has to be very dark in that black IPA style with the roasted malts.
Yeah. So let's talk about how we start to build a beer.
Yes.
There are base malts. The base malt of all base malts is called two-row.
So what makes it two-row? You have bags, right?
We have bags of it. So what makes it two-row is the way that the grain is grown. The kernels extend out from in two.
Oh, that's that classic look?
Yeah, and there's 6-row, which the kernels extend out in 6 pieces.
Oh, weird, okay.
But this is what two-row looks like. And 95% of your beers are made from two-row.
It just grows well? Why is that? Or is it traditional?
It's a base malt that gives a lot of sugar. This is where you get most of your sugar from.
Gotcha. It's just a sweet malt?
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's going to be sweet. It's going to be crisp.
It's delicious.
You think of tasting crackers and honey.
No. This is ridiculous. I would eat this with a spoon.
Right.
So this is why you boil it to get the fucking sugar out.
Yeah, because it's all honey.
Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Right.
So this is basically, you can't go wrong with this.
No.
This is not a sophisticated operation. This is a seed that is loaded with fucking sugar.
Exactly, and that's why it's the base of most beers.
I am drawn to this.
Yeah, you want to eat it. Pour some milk on it and eat it.
I feel like we're tapping into something deeply primal. Yeah. I can't. It is everything that I can
sit
do
home with a bag of this and just.
Johnny Burnnator, thank you so much. Here, I'll wash down the taste of that two-row with this massive crab.
Yeah.
Jeez, but no, that is crazy delicious.
Right. But let's check out. So there's base. These are what we call base malts. Another one is called Vienna.
Oh yeah. I know about that.
Yep. And Munich malt, which we have here too, is another. Can be used as a base malt. Obviously, usually a lot more for German beers.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a little bit darker than the two-row. Not by much.
But you can tell.
Yeah. So the two-row is about 2 on the Lavabon scale. And this is about 8.
The color comes direct.
Yeah.
I see.
Yep. And this is about 8. Now this is going to be a little more malty in character and a little more nutty. Or I'm sorry, not nutty, toasty. Not as honey.
It's darker.
Yeah, not as honey.
Exactly, but it has a darker. We're already moving into that darker flavor range.
Right. It's a lot different than two-row.
Well, yeah, and it has a sort of almost like a nutshell, a walnut skin bitterness almost to it as well.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Totally different, right? I agree. Let's pour some milk on it and then call it a day.
Oh my God. No, Matt, I want to eat it so bad. I want to eat both of these so bad. I think that we might have evolved to eat this.
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm wasting my time with a lot of complicated foods. Thank you, Brian. All right, so these are basically your ships of the line
Right.
when it comes to making a beer. And so even if you're using other malts, you're saying that these might form the spine of a lot of beers anyway.
Exactly. That's exactly what they do. They're the backbone of the beer you're going to make.
Okay.
And like I said, you can see the difference in a little bit of difference in color.
Yeah,
It kind of comes through.
There's a little bit of difference in color, but there's a lot of difference in flavor.
Yeah. Right. Wild. Now, as we talk about doing the War Priest, let's talk about which base malt we want to use, or we can make a combination of them.
Yeah. So what are some common mixes, some common blends?
So we can do for an IPA. You're usually going to use primarily 2-row. That's just going to be a.
Just in terms of for color.
Yep. Well, for color and taste, it's crisp. It's clean.
It is.
Right.
It is.
Now, what we can do is, if we want, we can add a little bit of Munich to give it a little more toasty flavor. Or there's another grain that I didn't bring, but it's called Maris Otter, which is going to give. It's used in a lot of English beers, and it's going to give a little more nutty flavor.
Yes.
So
that's what I want. Like when I go through this path here, this is sweet and good, like a honey end. This is almost like a graham cracker or something. It sounds like that is more over in this direction.
Yeah.
Basically, I just want it to be present.
Yeah.
I want it to be a novel
just
presentation.
a little bit of like a little bit of that flavor.
Yeah,
in between.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So all we have to do now
I need
is
to stop eating these fucking grapes.
You're not going to be able to.
I'm pushing them out.
So we're going to come in, get some 2-row, and let's see what happens when we put 5 pounds of 2-row in. We're not even getting into the scale yet, but let's add some Maris Otter as well.
There we go. So even then, so you don't want to go all Maris Otter?
No. You could if you wanted to. A lot of beers do. Okay. But for me, when I'm looking at this, I still want some. When you look at a black IPA, you want it to be clean and clear and sweet.
From a flavor perspective.
Yeah. So that it's not too roasty, it's not too.
I see. So it's
granular.
A blend in there. Okay.
Because what we're going to do is we're going to use the hops to give it a lot of its flavor.
Exactly. And so, but really, a big part of the purpose of these two here is to provide a base for the roasted malt.
For the additions that we're going to put in. We're going to put in specialty hops. The pale malt and the Maris Otter is what's going to give us most of our ABV and most of the sugars.
Yeah.
And then we use the
roasted
specialty
for character.
Exactly.
Okay. So does the roasted malt, is its sugar load just not comparable?
It's not the same, and it also, depending on what we pick, can change the characteristic greatly, even at small amounts.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's why we're doing this in this order.
Exactly.
Okay.
You always build the base, and then you'll add the specialty malts afterwards.
Gotcha.
So right now, with 5 pounds of 2-row and then 1 pound of Maris Otter, we're at about 1.52 on our original gravity, which is going to come out to about 5.5%, depending on our efficiency.
Yeah.
So now let's talk a little bit about the different kinds of specialty grains we can use that pertain to like an a black IPA.
Right. Because so one of the hot things, it seems like, at least in this town lately, has been this sort of rye. This rye rush. So how does that compare? I mean, I know about like a rye cracker, but how does like straight rye in a brewing context? How does that compare to these?
Yeah, rye is very interesting. It's a lot stickier.
Well, yeah, in there, right? I mean, you might brew it in a bag or something like.
Absolutely. Well, you could brew it in a bag if you want, but it's just a lot stickier. Your mash can get essentially jammed.
Well, I was going to say, but you've had super negative experiences with the rye.
No, I love rye. I love rye IPAs. I love rye beers. So, but
it can fuck up your shit.
But it's great. I mean, but it's going to give you that rye flavor inside of your beer.
Cool.
So that's one we could use.
Yeah. Again, it's just personality-wise, like I've really enjoyed, because they're a little bit drier.
Yeah. Like when we went to Stoop and they had that rye fest going.
Yeah, exactly. Or Rubens, the local place Rubens had an amazing rye outfit. But again, it's present. You know that it's there. It's always there in the back.
Yeah.
My fear is that back note on the rye is going to fuck up the rest of what I'm trying to do, especially with the the coffee chocolate stuff that's going to come out of the other grains.
Right.
So you tell me. I mean,
let's check out some other grains themselves. So one that we typically use in IPAs is Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Now Crystal.
I can rebag if you want to hand me your other pouches.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you got Crystal coming here.
So what Crystal is? Crystal is
Crystal with a K, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta love her.
But that's that German.
Yeah.
Right?
So there's different colorings of Crystal. It goes from 10 all the way up to about 150.
Oh, so it's rated
120.
independently.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can see the difference in color right from this 2-row
Oh my goodness.
to this Crystal.
What the hell? Okay, I did not expect that at all.
Yeah.
I expected Crystal to indicate something about clarity.
Yeah. It's Crystal / caramel, and what it does is it adds a caramel flavor and also like a dark caramel flavor, and then also we use it for head retention and to build body in the beer.
Oh. Just like a physical characteristic.
Yeah, this is more for physical characteristics than it is for taste. But you will get a little bit of dark caramel off of that.
Oh no, that's definitely true. It's actually a lot more than I expected. That's almost like a cocoa nib type back of the tongue bite.
Yeah.
Wild.
Now check this out. This is going to be even darker. This is what's going to give us our coloring and some flavor. This is chocolate malt.
Chocolate malt, right?
Want to pass that last?
Yeah.
Now check out that.
God.
Compared
but
to
the dust even.
right?
Okay, now, so we are both coffee roasters as well.
Yeah.
So this just smells like coffee to me.
Yep.
Right?
Give it a rip.
It tastes like coffee too.
Yeah. But it's going to impart more once it's cracked open and
and
heat it up.
It's not milled, is it?
No. You're gonna get more of the chocolate flavor that gets imparted.
This is so crazy. So I've already learned a ton here.
Yeah.
So because I would have thought, okay, well this is dark beer. We're just going to trade out malts.
Right.
But a beer that was this would be disgusting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like this would not be good.
You couldn't do 100% chocolate. It would be ridiculous.
And you wouldn't even have to because you wouldn't even have to do that much more. Because the amount of color that's going to come off of this,
right, it's insane.
Right, if the Munich was already at 8,
I'll show you what.
Well, yeah, throw it in. But I mean, I'd like to. I mean, how much of the color can we get from the Crystal? This is what I'm wondering, right?
Actually, but let's see, chocolate.
Yeah, Venerable Monster, as far as the channel is concerned, is absolutely right.
350 SRM.
Oh shit!
Yeah, is dark.
Wow, but Venerable Monster is right. Coffee roasting, and we can do this as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is that when we think about the brewing for acquisitions Intoxicated, right? There's going to be other types of drinks that we make for the characters. Mm-hmm. And one of them is obviously we're definitely going to make a kombucha for a character.
Yeah.
That's kombucha, depending on how you make it, can be relatively alcoholic.
Yeah, a little bit. Definitely a mead.
Absolutely. And then a mead as well. But a few other types of drinks. And I think even coffee, I'd have to figure out the right venting solution, but it's not impossible.
We can figure it out.
There's a hole in the roof over here.
We can just stand behind it with a fan or something and blow it out the door.
But we could do a roast and show people how to roast coffee as well.
Yeah, and you know what we could do with those coffee beans?
We can make a beer in here.
Yeah.
No, hold on. Were you telling me that if you want to make a coffee stout, it's like 6 beans?
Yeah, it's not a lot. You do not need a lot of beans. If you throw in a ton, you're going to be
It's gross.
Bowled over.
Right? Well, it's the same as this, right?
Yeah.
So let's figure out how much of the darkness of on the War Priest we can grab from exclusively from this lighter malt, this crystal malt.
Well, check this out too. This is what you might like as well.
What is that?
This is Carafa.
I've never heard of it.
It's another dark malt.
Yeah.
That is going to be even more coffee and more chocolate.
That's right here.
Than this one is.
Here, grab me your chocolate bag and I'll trade that.
Yeah.
Churro. Parfait.
smells really good. Now try that.
Oh, it's much larger kernels too.
And you're going to get a heftier coffee taste off of those.
Yeah, and dark cocoa.
Right.
But darker, honestly.
Yeah, and this might be the one we want to go to really darken the beer up because it gives that cocoa flavor.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that it's a more interesting.
It's more complex for sure.
Yes, it is a more complicated version of the other one. They both have their role, but I think this is more interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's black malt, which gives you a dark chocolate flavor.
Yeah.
So
it's sort of like in coffee roasting. So it's like it isn't just like French roast or like Italian roast or whatever. These are not actually coffee roasting terms. I'm not trying to be that motherfucker, but those are not terms that those are not terms for coffee roast character. There's a whole other scale, and that's what this reminds me of.
Yeah.
Where you're starting to get into that full city plus,
Right.
And you're moving into
Exactly.
You're moving into the edge where it's still a grain.
Yeah. but it's like
but in a very short time from now, it will be charcoal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Exactly.
Well, I like this, and if we can use Munich if we can use the Munich ones to get there close, or the crystal.
The crystal.
Yeah.
Well, and remember, there's also higher levels of crystal that can make it even darker.
Oh, that's right. It's a range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's say we want to let's add our crystal first.
Yeah. Because we can see over on the right. Oh, it's covered up by the shit. We'll have to squeeze in the UI because as you add.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's right.
Yeah.
Hold on.
As you add malts.
Watch this. Let me see if I can.
Yeah. As you add malts, you close your UI and then you're good. We get like a real-time example of what it should look like in the glass based on the SRMs, I assume, of the grains.
Exactly. So as we add the higher SRMs so I'll decrease the caramel so you can see it changing colors as we add more of this.
And so they have a button for you to fine tune it.
Yep.
Right there. You can do once you have your grain types. See, and now it's starting. The original gravity is starting to move more in the middle of that thing.
Exactly.
As the grains come in, which is to say, as the new sugars come in.
Right.
That are ultimately going to be converted. Right.
So now let's say we want to take some of this carafa.
Yeah. And we should
add a little bit of it because a little bit. Check this out. So where we have 5 pounds, a pound and a quarter of crystal, a pound of Maris Otter.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens when we add the carafa 3. And let's add a quarter of a pound.
Jesus Christ!
Boom! See, that's how it just adds to that dark character.
Oh, that's going to be great.
So, and this is what's interesting about developing recipes is you don't have to have 10 different types of grains.
It's not set anyway. So again, this is what you're talking about. This is what you're talking about. Full grain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. This is where all grain brewing comes in. Is we get to manipulate every little piece.
Because we're talking about 4 different grains.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right. And look at the different amounts too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
We only added a quarter of a pound of that carafa and it changed the color dramatically.
Oh, yeah. Oh man, that is really exciting.
Yeah.
So now that we know, but even a quarter of a pound is going to there's still going to be bitter. It's still going to be chocolate.
Yeah, you're going to get that complex coffee and cocoa flavor.
Right. So how do we hop that without it like basically being at loggerheads with the with that more astringent dark flavor that comes from the
first,
seeds?
Let's get up to the ABV we want to get to first.
Yeah.
So where do you envision
the War Priest
to be for your ABV?
I think 8 is probably solid.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Let's talk about a universe where you could conceivably have 2 and then be done.
Done, yeah. You get 1, 2 to the face.
Exactly,
right?
because Omin has, right? You got the main attack, but then as a bonus action, I get an additional melee.
I'm just saying, this is how this beer is going to hit you.
Exactly.
So let's increase the pale malt a little bit. Let's give it another pound of pale malt. Now we're up to about 7.4.
You put another pound of pale malt, but look at the color.
Still the same. It's still dark. That's how much a little bit goes a long way.
Clearly.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but it is a little bit. It's also a little bit that's like soaked and run through hot water, boiling water at 200 degrees with a pump.
Yeah.
Like it's getting all of that out of there. So do you have a hand mill?
No, actually, I don't. A lot of the brew. This is why I always say go to the brew store. A lot of the brew stores have the mills right there, and they'll do it for you.
Oh, you just grind it up right there.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
And it's kind of half the fun of it. So.
Yeah.
So we can now. Here's the question: do we want to make this a little more nutty with the Maris Otter, or do we just want to keep it crisper and add a little more?
No, I want the nut. Like for me, that's one of the things that I really, really like. Like in a brown ale or something like that.
Okay.
That's got a good taste, as they say.
Let's see what happens when we give another quarter of a pound. Okay. So right now, with 1.5 pounds of Maris Otter, we're at about 7.9%.
We're fine. We're fine. That's like when you're going to the store and they put the salmon on there and it's like close to the amount you want.
Or we can have 8.1.
No, it's fine. No. So 7.9 is perfect.
Or we could have 8.1.
It's parfait. Okay, now we're moving into the
now let's
hop
talk
zone.
about the fun stuff, the hops.
Well,
right?
exactly. So in the same way that we built that color with, a mélange of 4 different crazy hops.
Yes.
Right? Or crazy grains. Hops is a totally other thing.
It's its own beast. And there are bittering hops and aroma hops.
Right.
And bittering hops have it's what's called alpha. It's a really high alpha.
That's the rating, right?
Yeah, the rating. And we typically use bittering hops at the beginning of the boil because the longer you boil them, the more bitterness that they're going to impart into the beer.
Oh, that's right. And it's typically you would use a different kind of hop for bittering than you would for aroma.
Exactly.
You don't add the aroma hops until the end because it's more fragile, right? Like you want to actually retain.
You want to retain the flavor instead of just the bitterness.
You can overcook the hop, functionally speaking, right?
But there are hops that do both aroma and bitter, and there are bittering hops that we can use as aroma.
Yeah.
Much like I know, for us, we both love Citra, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Citra is one of my favorite hops.
Well, yeah, and there's a reason. It's just it has it's functionally speaking, it has that like fresh cut rind, like in a cocktail.
Yeah.
Like where you peel it and then it goes in there. Like there is just something like fresh and vital about that tang.
And to have it come off that
it's
beer.
not just bitter.
Yeah.
It's tangy and not bitter.
Yeah.
I think that's the distinction with Citra, right?
And so
do you? Oh, you have them here?
We have some hops, people.
Oh,
actually, let's get rid of this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be easy. Those will put away cleaner, I think.
Okay. So there's really 2 kinds of hops we use in home brewing. One's going to be pelletized, and one is whole hops that are kind of off the vine, right?
And dried.
Dried.
Yeah.
These are from out from a farmer in Yakima.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, because you're a New York boy.
Yeah.
And so but over here, it's definitely a point of pride. Like, we make the hops that, like, it's a state thing.
Yeah, you took it from us.
We stole it.
Yeah. Well, what happened was New York was...
You were treating those hops right.
Yeah. Hey, we were good. Listen, New York was the epicenter of hops in the U.S. until a blight came through.
Oh, really?
And I blame Washington for sending that goddamn blight.
Well, no, listen, it's about decrepit morals. And
that's what you blame it on?
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Okay.
So
let's take a look.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So here in the Citra pack, and I've only ever actually used pelletized hops. But I have a bunch of hops on the fence.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Smells amazing, right? I agree. Distal Cascade hops are amazing. I can smell that from over here.
I'm sorry. I honestly, Josh, how long was I smelling the hops?
It's so good.
A long time. Okay, I did not know. Dank.
Yeah. Straight dank.
Dank is the word, right? It's juicy.
Yeah.
The hop pellet is juicy. That is distinct.
Different, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. But
Doesn't
dank like in the right way.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Not dank, not like bong water dank, but like dank in that it's just sort of like vital and musty in it, but not in a negative way.
No. It's been condensed. Right?
Exactly. But I mean, so like I say, on the stream, hopefully we'll have a chance to use them. But I've got Cascade.
Yeah, that'd be amazing.
Growing on my fence at home. So there really is a third stage, right? So he was talking about the pelletized hops, and obviously we're going to put these in our crop. But here we have dried whole cones, which you may or may not have seen before. It's really, really interesting, actually. There is a third option that would be over here in our conceptual diagram, right? This region here, and that is fresh hops. So that would be a hop that has not been dried, because like any other plant, like any other food, like freshness is a thing. So in this case, they're kiln dried to preserve them.
Yep.
In this, they are pelletized and compressed to preserve them.
Yep.
But you can also use a full hop cone. Now you have to change inside BeerSmith, of course.
It's about 10. There's about a 10% difference of concentration. The pellets are more concentrated.
Yeah.
And the reason that we pelletize is also to preserve the hops to be able to use them throughout the entire year.
Exactly, because they're not
they go back quick.
Monthly crop.
Yeah, exactly.
But if you so this is one option. How would you differentiate the whole leaf in terms of usage case to pelletized? Is it different?
No, I mean, some people swear by it, but I don't. It really doesn't make that huge of a difference. It's just whatever.
Right. And they're broken up a bit, but this is something like a dry cone here.
Oh God, that smells great.
Yeah, it does. That's but like the ones that are on my fence right now are really like a small pine cone. Not long. They are pretty compact.
Yep.
It's like a tree's pine cone, like when it's young.
Yeah.
Except they're velvety, like they're actually soft to the touch.
Exactly.
It's a really, really interesting thing.
So we could literally pick those right off. And
as long as we calculated for the distinction, because they're not concentrated, it's a raw plant.
Yep.
Now, the distinction, something that you might not know if you have never stuffed these into your craw, or if you aren't if they don't have things like fresh hop, like here, because a lot of the hops are grown close, fresh hop is a thing.
Yeah.
Moving into the fall, breweries will go south to Yakima and just come back up with trucks full of bags of fresh hops.
It smells so good.
I know, right? This is pure magic.
Yeah.
But what that means inside the kettle, like between these two, you're fine. These are both going to make great beer.
Absolutely.
But fresh hops are weird. Like the tastes that are in a fresh hop, there is something fragile and sort of temporary.
You're cooking with fresh ingredients.
Exactly.
It's like anything else.
It is like any other fresh ingredient. It would be the difference between like a dried chili flake and like a fresh chili, because that was our experience.
Oh yeah,
the dried chili is one thing, but the fresh chili, there is something else fucking happening there.
Well, there was more flavor. I mean, the flavor you could just actually, even though it was burning my mouth to pieces, I could get actually flavor out of it.
But it's it isn't just about intensity. It isn't like this is more than these or these. There is something else in there. So let's get a hold of this Citra.
Yeah, go for it.
I can do it.
There's actually one more kind of way to inject hops, and it's literally injecting. You can get these cartridges that are hop oils, and it's almost in a syringe, and it's super concentrated, and you can just fire it right in. You literally syringe it right into the wort, the boiling wort.
Yeah. That taste is distinct from the smell. I mean, the smell is really fruity, but the taste is sort of like like your uncle's basement, but like in a good way.
Yeah.
Right? In a good way.
Yeah.
Like the good times you had down there.
Like
right?
playing D&D, in the basement, flashlights on, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now the Amarillo is not as sharp,
No.
and you can actually tell the distinction, right?
Yep.
So the alpha on this, which is that basically that measurement of
Yeah.
the bitter
is
acids,
can
is
any-
about half.
Well, the alpha on this, on the Citra, is about 12 to 14.
Yeah, exactly. As
And
compared to the 8 here.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is going to have a little more tropical tones and a little more grapefruit.
More
than
rind.
The Citra. Yeah.
Right, because it's around the cone. Like, because I go out and test them on the yard.
Yeah.
And it's actually just the yellow sort of pollen that's inside around the core of it, right?
The trichomes, yep.
But here's what's different about this. Obviously, it has that grapefruit rind, but there's also like pine.
Yep. Exactly.
But again, like not in a bad way.
No. We, especially with IPAs, we like pine. Pine is good. Yeah. Pine is fun.
Because it's strong, right? Because at the end of the day, there's all kinds of battles that are happening inside the fermenter.
yeah, exactly.
Right? There's a war between the yeast and everything else that wants to be in there and eat those sugars. But there's a balancing act between like the really big malts that we have in here and then whatever we're trying to do with the upper part of the flavor profile in the hops. Right? And so they have to be tough to stand up to that.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So what do we think about the War Priest?
About the War Priest, let's talk about what we want to do first for bittering, and then we can talk about flavor and aroma.
Yeah. We'll move through.
Yeah. So there are a couple hops that we can use for bittering.
Yeah. I mean, are there ships of the line like the 2-row?
Kind of.
They're just sort of classic.
But for this style, they're going to be classic.
Yeah.
There's one called, either it's Tomahawk or Columbus. They're almost interchangeable with each other.
Yeah.
Super bitter, or it can be super bitter, but it's earthy, piney, and also citrusy.
Wild.
Yeah.
Either one of those?
Yeah. So it has all those flavor combinations.
It's just like the super hop.
Yeah. It's definitely the super hop. There's also another one that I really like, which is called Summit, which is citrus and grapefruit. So you have this really cool flavor packed into there. So
that's novel.
If we want to make War Priest fundamentally through and through like a citrusy beer, that might be one that we could use for bittering, or one that we might want to choose for bittering.
Yeah. And
because it'll bring forward more of those citrusy flavors.
Exactly. But to go back and to authentically, truly make a case for myself as just an inveterate, like unreconstructible nerd.
Yeah.
I think of something like a Citra with the citrus flavors.
And we can use that as a bittering too.
We can, but I think of it as a slashing. I think it's on a slashing side.
Right.
What I want are hops. I want bludgeoning hops.
Okay.
And I don't mean like they're going to beat you up.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I don't want the rind. I don't want the oil and the rind.
Right.
Like those sharp things. I want to assist this malt in a kind of phalanx.
What do you think about a marmalade, almost like an orangey marmalade? Sweet and thick. That's where we could use. There's a hop called Pacifica.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what that hop is, and that's what we could use for our aroma and our flavor.
There we go.
So
I'd like to experiment with that. Have you messed around with it?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay.
It's absolutely wonderful.
And so you can use the same hop for those stages.
Yeah.
Because they mean something different.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're introduced at different points in the boil.
Exactly.
Right?
And a lot of people get tied up with saying, "Oh, I want like 9 different hops in my beer," and that's not the case. You can do a beer with a single type of hop all the way through.
Yeah, like
I love single infusion, single hop beers.
Well, yeah, it's like a single malt.
Yeah.
Or like a single origin.
Yeah.
Like it's possible to actually assess it.
Yeah.
With your instruments.
Right.
And figure it out. Like one of the best beers I have ever had was Fremont's fresh hop Citra.
Oh, you told me about that. Yeah.
It's just like, I drove around town.
Just to find it. Just to find it.
I foraged for beer.
I love it.
But because it was just Citra.
Yeah.
And as long as the hop, I guess the caveat is that it has to be a sophisticated, it has to be a hop that can do all those jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. Right? You need something that's going to be able to bitter it up front. So, that's if we want to take it in that direction with the Pacifica,
I think that's neat. I think that we should try it. And again, like, what's the worst that's gonna happen?
we're gonna have great beer.
We're gonna have a bunch of great beer. Like, we can't actually lose.
Yeah.
Right.
So with that in mind, what do you feel like bittering this with? We can do the Summit, which is the citrus and the grapefruit.
Right. I'm afraid of that.
We could do the Tomahawk, which is earthy.
Yeah.
And piney.
Let's do it.
Which would go with
that is a yes
with the
for
marmalade
me.
and citra. Okay. So let's.
Yeah, that'd be the Tomahawk or Columbus. You said.
Yeah, they're almost interchangeable. So if we look at Columbus, see how there's Columbus and Tomahawk. You'll see that they're basically
the
interchangeable.
alphas.
Yeah. The
Oh
alphas.
God, they're huge.
Yeah.
Even compared to the Citra, even they're
It's
wow.
14%.
It's a beast. Oh, Zeus is the same.
Yep. So let's take that and see where 1 ounce of it at 60 minutes of boil gets us.
Yeah, but look at that. 1 ounce of it, 60 minutes. All the arrows went up into the green.
We're already at 77 IBUs.
Right. Just with this beast.
Yeah. It's brutal. So that's where we want to talk about how bitter do we want to make this?
Not that bitter.
Do we want to? Well, we can lower this down.
Let's bring it down a little bit. Like
Okay.
I still want it to be. I want you to look at it and be like, oh, okay, it's a porter.
Yeah.
And then be like, well, it's an IPA.
Do not get what you're doing with these flavors.
Yeah, exactly. I want to. I mean, I want it. I still want it to be an IPA.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't want it to be. I don't want it to be 77 just off the.
Front. Bittering. Yeah. So let's take if we take it down to 0.75 ounces instead of 1 ounce.
Yeah.
We get hit back to 58 IBUs.
There we go.
Which
and
is
so,
really good.
So now we can bounce it with a cool hop.
Yeah. Now let's
The
try
Pacifica.
Yeah. Now we also have there's another hop called Simcoe, which is really cool.
Yeah, that's another famous one. I've seen that in a lot of recipes.
Which is citrus and pine.
Okay, so that'd be citrus and pine. That would sort of fit around the earthy bittering of our Tomahawk.
Right. So if we look at let's look at some of these hops. So Simcoe is also a high bittering. So if we're going to use that, we're going to want to use that right at the end of the boil. It's essentially called doing it at flame out because you don't want any of the bitterness. You just want the flavor.
Exactly. So that's where you add it.
Yep.
This is a part of the technique.
Exactly.
We want the flavors off of this, but we don't want it to dominate.
We don't want the
whole fucking
bitterness.
thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So we could use that, or we could just go all Pacifica, and which is the one that's orange marmalade.
Yeah, exactly. So you're talking about like it's there's a citrus aspect, but it's sweet. It's in the middle of it.
Yep. So if you
look at the alpha.
Yeah, it's only 5.5. So this is where we get that aroma hop and flavoring.
Exactly.
So we're going to add this at about 10 minutes
Till the end.
Till the end. And we can do another addition at 5 minutes if we really wanted to.
Right. And if we wanted to go bonkersville, we could put it in a sock and throw it in the fermenter at the end.
And do some dry hop.
And do a dry hop.
Absolutely.
Right? So there's hops that you can add to the beer as it's fermenting, basically steeping it like a tea.
Yeah.
And that might be nice, especially for aroma. Holy
absolutely.
shit.
I think it would be great.
Exactly.
So we could essentially just do Pacifica right now, and then if we wanted to add some Simcoe later, we could always dry hop that too.
Exactly. Because at that point, what kind of bittering are you getting from the dry hop phase?
You're not getting
Not really, right?
No, you're just getting that flavor that comes off of it.
Nice. So what does it look like if we put that Pacifica in there?
So let's say we do an ounce of Pacifica at 10 minutes. We're going to be right up to about 69%, but let's take that down a bit and do maybe 75. We're at 66 IBUs.
I feel like that's strong.
Yeah, that's fine.
I feel like that's a nice in the middle because again, I do want everybody to know about the malt as well, right?
Yep. So there we go. So we'll bring it down to a half. We can do a half an ounce, and we're at 63 IBUs. And that is where your typical average IPA is.
Exactly. But the unique hop mix and the neat sort of malt substrate, that's going to be where the character sort of comes in.
And check this out. Let's say we do another injection of Pacifica. I can spell.
I believe in you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And we use it as steep in whirlpool. 0 minutes. nothing happens to the IBUs. When we put this in at flame out, when we're done.
Oh, now the temperature is come down, right? We're moving at.
Well, you're just below boil.
Yeah.
And what makes the bitterness come through is the length of the boil.
Oh,
so you're not having those hops in there for any amount of that boiling.
Exactly.
So
they're not touching it.
Yeah.
At all. It's just flavor.
Flavors coming out of it. Wow. So that might be the other. So we could add another. Let's lower it down.
Another touch.
Make it another half an ounce.
Oh man, I'm so pleased. I think that is going to be really, really cool.
Yeah. So I mean, if we look at, we can go down and look at our bars. We're a little bit above the average ABV, which is fine. We're right in smack dab in the center for the color. Exactly. Our bitterness unit, we're a little low, but we're banking more on flavor, which is what we really, really want.
Exactly. And with the presumption that the chocolate malt, when it comes in, is going to be present enough on the tongue to sort of fill out the rest of that spot.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And our gravity is perfect. So that's how easy it is to build a beer.
Oh man. Okay.
We now have War Priest.
We have the War Priest. So we'll grab these ingredients this week, and we will throw all of these bad boys over into this device.
Yeah.
We'll put the recipe together over the weekend. We'll basically program it into the, and we can show you how that looks next week. Before we go into the boil, we'll show you what the brew backend for the Pico Brew looks like. It's functionally speaking a kind of web app, and the Pico Brew is a Wi-Fi device. It's functionally speaking, I think, like a custom Arduino implementation, and it basically can hear the recipes that I put into this web page, and I just choose them from there. I'll take out this container. Obviously, we'll show you all this in the next episode. Take out the container, put the hops everywhere where they're supposed to go. But we'll take you through the whole first part of that boil next week. We're gonna get into some shit.
The other thing we have to talk about is the yeast.
Oh, yeah, tell me about the yeast. So that's the very, very end. But for something like this, there's a pretty standardized approach, right?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to use one of, so there's a couple different ways that you can, you throw yeast in, you pitch yeast.
Yeah.
There is dry yeast, which essentially looks like these pellets that we have, the hop pellets.
Right.
And you'll just toss them right in once you've cooled your wort down to 70 degrees.
Exactly. And of course, we cool the wort down, right? Because it will murder the yeast.
Yeah.
Otherwise.
Right.
Right? I mean, basically.
Straight annihilation.
Yeah, we want the yeast to get in there when it's warm, kind of wake up.
Yep. Get in the hot tub,
and get to work.
Just start eating.
Right?
Just eat.
Listen, PAX yeast, Jay West, is not, that's not a convention. That's not a show. Well,
Can we do a brewing convention?
No, exactly. But PAX yeast, I mean, I guess technically speaking, right? That would be.
Fest?
Well, no, but PAX yeast is what happens in the fermenter. Yeah. That's PAX yeast.
Exactly.
But anyways, but it's a standard. I mean, for this style of beer, it's a standard yeast that you would introduce, right? So there's the pellet type version, but there's also a mix, right?
Yeah. There's also, you can get what's called smack packs, or that will mix the yeast with nutrients.
Oh, to get him psyched up.
Yeah,
it's like get ready for game time. Like
basically,
this is what we trained for.
Yeah, they basically replicate themselves inside the smack pack
ahead of time.
Yeah, and you can take it one step further, which we normally do. Probably won't do it for this setup, but we make a yeast culture.
Yeah.
Where the night before you set to brew, you take the smack pack, smack it, you have a beaker, and you pour pre-made wort in there, pour your yeast in.
Oh.
So that the yeast is replicating itself overnight and it grows rapidly.
Hell yeah,
yeast grows rapidly.
And then you bring that motherfucker into the 70-degree wort.
And you just pitch the whole thing, and you're pitching.
It's like early start.
Yeah.
It's like early start for young yeast.
Exactly. So
No. It's Charles Xavier's home for advanced yeast.
Yeah. Yeah, the smack packs give you about 100 billion cells.
Nice.
When you do the starter, 200 billion cells.
Oh, shit.
What?
I don't know.
Look at them cells.
Yeah, its cells are the best, I guess. Anyway, but the main thing is that they will help us transform our warm, sweet, slightly tangy wheat tea into Omin Dran's War Priest beverage.
Yeah. So there's 2 ales that we can go with. Y Yeast is the company.
The classic.
Yeah. Now they have an ale 1 and 2. The first one gives a smooth, clean finish, which is balanced. The other one is clean, tart, nut, and a nutty flavor.
Interesting.
Right?
Well, for us, we've put the raw materials in there to assist on the nut side.
Yeah.
It seems to me like that might be the right case that we want, especially with our grain bill, as they say.
Yeah. So we can just go with that?
Yeah.
So, that's
Kick-ass. That's the War Priest.
That's the War Priest.
Well, hey, listen, Precious Channel, thank you so much for rolling through. We're going to come together here on Tuesdays before Mike's art stream, talk brewing, make beers, create a civilization, and dominate the earth.